like I've done Hangouts on air quite a few times now, but every time I feel like I'm doing it for the first time. So
Yeah. I feel that way with all of Google Plus things.
that's true.
So we're recording now.
Awesome.
And yeah, I wasn't sure about teaching presentations wise. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I ended up doing a little PowerPoint thing with JavaScript objects, and I made some very simple sandbox code.
Sorry.
You're light years ahead of what I did then.
Cool. And as far as the agenda for today's meeting, is that kind of what we're doing, just like teaching presentations?
I think so. I know we need to talk about the two different, oh, what are they called? My brain
The
just
elevator
went
pitches?
blank. Yeah, our two different the two different elevator pitches that we're going to present to the teacher. Yeah.
So we picked,
We picked one,
yeah.
but we kind of need to pick a second one because we're supposed to do two.
All right. And I have a question for you guys. Do you guys know what the... Let me see if I can find this. It's like a calendar. A training schedule. Is that something that we had to like submit, or just the schedule? I think it's just the schedule of how we do it, right? We didn't have to like submit a schedule of the order that we train things in.
I don't know.
I'm not sure of.
I'm reading this announcement. I have my screen shared here. This was the announcement found in iLearn. This was from week 2, but he basically said you don't need to have the proposals in this week. The sooner the better, but it is not required for this week. Get your team meetings going in your training schedule. So I'm assuming that's just like you figure that out yourself and you don't need to submit anything. And then also you don't need to have the team project decided until week 9, but I strongly encourage you over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
would our
yeah,
training schedule be that thing that the schedule we've put together in Google Docs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a quick question on that. So is that, if my brain will work, it'll be quick. That schedule, that is from week now to week 8, right? Is what that schedule is supposed to be?
It's in topics and presentations in Google Drive. Yeah.
Okay.
So does that work for our meeting or our training schedule then?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add I'm gonna add week 5 and week 7 in there.
Okay. And those weeks are supposed to be review weeks of the things we've done the week before, right? Because I read somewhere that odd weeks are review weeks and even weeks are new topic weeks.
Okay.
Where did I read that? Sorry, I'm trying to get organized.
Me too. I'm having a hard time with this class. I'm used to classes where everything is laid out in front of you in iLearn.
I'm having a hard time with all my classes because they're all over iLearn 2 and iLearn 3 and Google, and
yeah.
I have
and
no
now
idea.
That everything's spread out over. I'm in the same boat. Now that everything's spread out all over the place.
I have no idea where I'm supposed to find information. It's been difficult, so.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to modify this while we're talking because we haven't covered a lot of the subjects that we were kind of planning on covering.
Okay, so under course assignments, in weekly team meetings, here, I'll share my screen. Maybe I'll share my screen. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, there you go. I see it.
Okay. So under weekly team meetings, it has on odd numbered weeks your team will meet again. You'll use this time to further gain knowledge of the topics reviewed in previous weeks.
Okay. So any questions that were asked the previous week will just be hit again.
Yeah, on even numbered weeks, you'll teach topics from the topics and resource page. Okay.
So right now this is week 3, correct? Or is this week 4?
Yeah, this is week 3. So
Alright.
technically technically we are only supposed to be reviewing what we talked about last week, this week.
Oh. And since I dropped the ball and didn't teach last week, I have something today if that's alright.
Yeah, I do
You guys
too.
have time. Cool.
So yeah. That works for me. I feel like this week we need to do a catch-up week since we didn't all do it last week.
That makes sense.
Who was it that did CSS3 animation last week?
That was you, right, Kelly?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that was me, guys.
Okay.
That was me.
Yeah.
Are you guys all like confident about that? Or do you have any questions? As this review week for me, I guess.
I'm kind of so in our where is it?
Right?
I was assigned to go over that this last week too.
Okay.
So I can talk about that today. And I guess we can ask more questions, I guess.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Who is Florian?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe. Stop. Okay.
Sorry, real quick. We just have the 4 of us, right? It's just
Yeah.
Kelly, Michael, Michelle, and myself.
I believe so.
Okay.
There was... One sec. Who is... On that subject, there's contact.
Oh, for someone else?
I
Who's
saw
Florian?
someone else. Yeah, I was wondering if Florian... Are they now in our group? Because were groups reassigned or something?
I don't know. I don't remember putting that person on that sheet.
They added themselves.
Is there contact information? Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding the contact stuff. There it is.
Yeah, I see a BYU Idaho email, but that's it.
Yeah, Florian has, yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and send them an email and ask them for their Gmail.
Okay, good idea. They haven't said anything on our community page, have they?
I don't think they've been invited.
I think it's a private community.
Right, no kidding.
Yeah, so I'm looking on the class community page for everybody, and they haven't said anything on that page either.
Okay.
Oh, like no intro or elevator pitch or anything like that?
I'm not seeing anything.
In iLearn 2.0, what week was the organized teams? Was that lesson 2? Team contact information?
Yeah, that was lesson 2.
That's what I'm going to look at. I know it's right around here somewhere. The group directory, there it is.
Yeah.
I do not see Florian in our group directory. Or is it? Did I say that right? Or
Yeah, I believe Florian is how you say it. I don't have anyone in my group directory. It says I haven't been assigned to a group.
Yeah, my directory is not working either.
Well, I see both of you in my directory, so.
Well, that's good. I'm glad something.
Yeah, something works.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to mute for a minute.
Can anyone hear Daniel Tiger coming from me?
I can't hear anything. Is that like a TV show or something?
It's a TV show. It's nice.
Oh. I can't. No, you're good. I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Did the professor get an invite?
No, should I throw him in here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to invite him.
We can ask him about the other guy too.
Let me pull up his.
What is Florian's last name? Was it Kush? Is that right?
Kauschhe.
Yeah, so I'm looking right now, and that person was on Team 1, originally assigned there.
All right. I'm not going to worry about him then.
Let's add the professor, and we can ask him if he joins.
Yeah.
Then we
All
can
right.
ask him about our other teammates who haven't
I don't know.
participated yet. Too.
How do you add somebody?
There's the little person with a plus next to their neck. Let's see.
I can't see that now. Maybe you can still do
I
it.
think maybe it's because I'm hosting. If I have my screen shared here, if you can see it. It's like this button here.
There it is, yeah.
Invite people. Do you guys know his email address?
Oh, gosh.
I can
I have iLearn open. I can go to my instructor.
You should be
Instructor
able to.
profile. There it is.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say you should also be able to get it from just his name.
All right. I sent him an invite. Invitation posted. So we'll see. That would be nice if he has a minute to jump in.
Yeah. That would be helpful.
Well, while we wait, I could go ahead and start with a teaching presentation, or we could do some questions. I'm not sure what we have on the agenda for today.
We can do a teaching presentation. I'm keeping track of when we're starting new things, by the way. I'll add notes to our community page once our meeting is over, so that everyone
Oh, nice.
can have,
Those minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever. Thank you.
If my daughter can stop attacking me, I don't know. We'll see if this happens.
I totally forgot that those minutes exist.
Yeah, me too.
I forget about things when they're not in the due in 2 weeks folder.
I do too.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Gary James' email is? I'll put it on the contact info
Go eat
in your
your,
Google
go
Drive
eat your cookies.
for next
I
time.
threw it in the chat if you can see that.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Hmm.
And if you're finished with adding him, I'll go ahead and start on my teaching topic.
Okay.
All right. So if you guys can all see my screen, I'm not sure. When I pull the PowerPoint up, it kind of turned into a PowerPoint display. But I played around with JavaScript objects a little bit. I got some very helpful information from W3 Schools. I love that website. So a JavaScript objects, I guess in JavaScript, it kind of seems to, I was having a hard time understanding what the website meant, but it sounds like almost everything is or can be an object. So like Boolean, numbers, and strings, those can be objects. And dates and maths are always objects. And regular expressions are always objects. Arrays are always objects. functions are always objects, and objects are always objects. So I guess when you think of objects or object-oriented programming, you kind of think about creating I think of it as creating like a block. If you guys have taken CIT261, it's the kind of object-oriented databasing class where you make the blocks. And so you sort of create an object in a block is how I like to think about it. So I'll show you my example that I have after this slide. So the way you start it in JavaScript, I guess when a JavaScript variable is declared with the keyword new in the variable, it is created as an object. So if you have like variable x, you'd say like var x equals new string, and that declares x as a string object. And you can see I have the same basic how you declare it with, you know, number, boolean, an array, a function, and so on. So let me find my examples here. So I was playing around with something that we could do for a flashcard application. So this is just opens in a browser. It's just HTML and JavaScript. So I have creating a JavaScript object. My object is going to be a flashcard. So I made like a flashcard block. And this is what it does. It's a CCNA flashcard deck. What is the subnet mask for a Class C subnet? Anybody?
No idea.
Okay, let's flip the card. 255, 255, 255, 0. All right, now we can take a look at how this is, or what's going on here. So I guess this block here, this var flashcard equals, that's kind of, yeah, that block is the object. So within the flashcard, I have the question and the answer, and then basically I just have it write the question, and then the button that's when you click it, it writes the answer. And then I have another example where I used a function to do the exact same thing. So it's the same questions and everything. What is the subnet mask for a Class C subnet? You can flip the card 255, 255, 255, 0. And then same question but with a Class B subnet. It's 255, 255, 0, 0. And the way this one works is I have a function that's a flashcard. It's just a flashcard function. And it uses the this keyword. So you'd say like this question equals question and this answer equals answer. And then I have two variables, CCNA question 1 and CCNA question 2. And then I assign this dot question and this dot answer in those variables. So as far as JavaScript objects go, I think those could be very useful in making our application. Does anybody have any questions that I can try my best to answer and maybe not answer if I don't know?
I do, Michael. I thought that was useful because it was reminding me, I mean, I've taken this class, but JavaScript is kind of coming back to me, which is good, but can you remind me what Boolean is?
I believe Boolean is either true or false. So Boolean,
okay.
Yeah. Boolean is the one that has one value or another, like it's just one or the other.
Okay. That makes sense. It's slowly coming back to me. Hopefully I'll be useful when we start working on our JavaScript stuff again.
Oh, and it looks like I just noticed that the professor had a minute to jump in.
No, the instructor had a minute to jump in.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. There are many professors out there who would say, no, wait a minute, he doesn't have any letters after his last name there. Yeah, I'm just passing through. I was just attended another meeting. Saw the invite for you guys, so I thought I'd swing by. Good instruction. Are there any questions I can answer since I'm here in the neighborhood?
Yeah, we have some questions about team members, and then it looks like there's someone that might actually be assigned to 2 teams.
Oh, really?
So we have 2 people. Let me pull it up really quick. Michael Kingsley and Clayton Sorensen haven't posted to. We haven't seen them on either the class community or the our private community. And then there's a. Sorry. There's also a Florian. I don't know how to say his last name. Kusk. He's marked in group 1, but he's like showed up in our stuff.
Okay. I'm bringing up my class list here. Okay, what team number are y'all?
5. We're team 5.
Okay. And tell me those names again who have not been attending.
Michael Kingsley and Clayton Sorensen.
Okay. And then you say.
And then there's, Florian, and he's, or she is in team 1, but is also on our stuff.
So in your team. Oh. Okay. Well, let me check with Florian. So what is he's showing up on he's posted to your team site or something? He got invited to your team site?
So he's been posting to our drive.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't mind me taking half a minute here, let me go look at the team. And again, what team number are y'all?
5.
You're 5. And if those 2 students have dropped out, you'll still be fine. Because you got 4 people, and the ideal size for a team is actually 4. Okay, so Florian, he's posted to your site, huh? That's odd.
To our Google Drive.
To your Google Drive. Okay, well, I will check with him. The fact that he's not a member of your team, you must have your Google Drive set to public or something so that everybody in the world can do it. Now, I'll make sure he knows which team he's on. And as for Michael and Clayton, I will check with them. I'll go get on the grade book right now and see if they've done anything, and I will email them and see if they're going to be participating or not. And if they aren't, their lives will be lesser for not having association with you guys. And let me check I was checking just 2 days ago those who had dropped the class, and I know as of that time they had not dropped. So if you don't mind hanging on, I will look to see if Kingsley is still in the class, and Sorensen is as well. Okay, so I will send them an email, and I'll let Florian know that he's hanging in the wrong neighborhood.
Okay.
Anything else I can answer?
There is one thing that I'd like to clarify about our understanding portfolio. In our understanding portfolio, that's something that we update every single week, and it's like one large portfolio at the end of the semester, correct?
Yes, work on it weekly. You may not necessarily have something that you want to say, hey, Brother James, I'm ready to have you grade this on a weekly basis. But it should be rare that on a weekly basis you're not saying, take a look at my local stories. And as for one, you didn't use the word one big repository, but it's going to contain everything that you've learned. You'll have a link there to show me your local story and your Ajax and different. So the answer to your question is yes. If I'm just making sure that your impression is not well. Okay, I'm going to rewind here a little bit. Sorry. You can create one monolithic application towards the very end. All of the content, the code topics start to come together. So you may have one page that kind of shows everything off all in one grand finale. But along the way, you're going to have individual pages where you show me in CSS animations, a box moving around the screen, or some text that gets skewed using transformations. And so they build up, but they start to come together towards the end. Long answer. Did I answer your question?
That does. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
And as far as teaching topics go, does everybody need to teach every topic?
No.
Okay.
You've got a little smaller team than some of the other teams, so you may have the opportunity to teach a little more frequently. If you teach 2 or 3 topics or so each week, that for the whole team, then and how many of them are on the team? So you officially have 6 on the team, but 4 are only the ones that are attending. No, you do not need to teach every week.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a good meeting. Think good thoughts at 2 o'clock Central Time. I've got a job interview today, so
I'll think good thoughts for you.
there.
Good
Okay.
luck, and thank you for your
All
help.
right. You bet. If there's anything at the end of your team meeting, if you have outstanding questions, I kind of listen to the meetings, but that doesn't mean I always hear the questions when they're asked because I'm skipping through it kind of quick. Just post them there when you post your team meeting, and I'll make sure I get back with you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day, you guys.
You too.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Did he say anything else important when I left?
He was just saying that we can post additional questions under the team meeting.
Okay. My daughter is getting cranky, so I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to be in our meeting today.
Okay. You said you had a topic to teach. Did you want to just go ahead and do that really quickly?
Sure. One sec. 1 minute. I'm going to write down our minutes again real fast. So.
Okay.
So I believe I was assigned to go over CSS transformation and translation stuff. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see. And we kind of have gone over some of that last week. So I kind of tried to just embellish some things that I wasn't sure were shared last week. And I gave another sandbox code that you guys will be able to play with. But, 1 minute, let me find it. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. This is my personal website that I've been playing around with, and I used a CSS animation and translate for my main page, and when you load the page, it does this funny little bounce thing. And then when you scroll, my logo appears once it's left the home page, and it disappears when you get back to the top. So I tried to take that out, and I'm kind of still working on it. Oops. But in the sandbox code for this week, it's going to do the same thing. It's got this little box, and it bounces, and then I'm working on the disappearing, reappearing thing. But here's the code for it, which is it's super simple HTML. It's just a div with a class bounce, an ID hello box. So in the style sheet, I've styled the box, and then down here in the bounce, this is where all of the action takes place. So it's got an animation that names it and that says how long the animation lasts. But then it's got a transform which handles the actual bounce movements. So between 0 to 100% of the different bounces at different times, it would. So at the 40%, it goes 50 pixels into the air, and then back down, and at 60%, it goes 15 pixels into the air. So it's pretty simple, but some of the things that this does that I wasn't sure we actually covered last week is that it has to, in your CSS, you have to kind of go over the same code a lot. And one of those things that I found was that the browser support for CSS translation, animation, and all that stuff isn't exactly specified yet, so there's a lot of duplication you have to do. So for different browsers, you need to remember to add the WebKit, the Moz, the O, for whatever browser you're wanting to make sure works in. And I found this little web page. What is it called? It's from Bradshaw Enterprises, and I thought it had a lot of good information on CSS, just transitions and stuff in general, and it's got these fun little things that talk about the differences between what timing functions mean and stuff, and it shows you how they're different in this little animation that they do. And then it also talks about the delays. Like on my page, there's a delay when you first start it for how long this lasts and stuff. So, what else was I going to want to cover? I can't remember. Oh, also, so talking about transforms, one thing that I found in the Mozilla Foundation website was this using device orientation with 3D transforms. And Michael showed us something that was super relevant with how we could actually create our, wow, my brain is totally blanking right now. Michael showed us how we could create those little cards if we actually end up doing that app, but I also thought that this would be useful to go over because it shows you how to orient a screen using transformations. And since we're doing a web to mobile device, this would actually be really useful. Except I don't necessarily know what all of this means. I mean, I get it, the functionality and stuff, but I just thought I would add this page to our Google page, and then everyone could kind of check it out I thought it would be a useful reference for later. So that's kind of all I have. Oh, also I wanted to say that this sandbox code that I've made, I've committed it to our shared GitHub repo. So you guys should all be able to access it the way it is. Although I would suggest that if we're each playing with the sandbox code on our own, then we just copy it into our own stuff instead of messing with the same code because it might get confusing. So that's all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very well done.
Yeah, that was. That kind of stuff, that's going to be very beneficial when we start making everything look pretty.
Yeah. So
Your website looks really cool, by the way.
thank you.
You said you were a web development major, right?
I'm a web design major.
Web design major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Your website looks so good. I looked at mine and I was like, oh man.
thanks.
Yeah.
I've been working as a graphic designer for the last 5 years, so design is really my thing. But that will probably come in handy later towards the end when we're developing our application. But whatever.
The aesthetic side of everything is very important.
Yes.
Make everything look good.
It is. Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice. Were there any questions I could answer about that, I guess? Now that I guess I'm finished teaching.
I'm a little confused. So, okay. Some of the animation and the transition are like the same coding. So I was a little confused about what made it the difference between animating and then the transitioning. Mostly the transition is like having it actually move, right?
I think so. When I was studying up on this morning, I realized that I had the same question. And I'm still trying to research more.
Okay.
Because I'm not exactly sure what... Because I feel like, okay. I feel like you can do the same thing with just animation properties that you can do with translate properties. I don't know. So I guess that's something we can look into, and I can answer questions about it next week once I figure it out.
Okay.
Unless Kelly knows anything about that. I don't know.
So on the spot here, animation. So like mine was the check mark.
Yeah.
To translate or to transform is to make a change or to do something, like in a position. Mine, the animation was after like I clicked on it. So that's super helpful, right?
So what I was thinking the transition was like, so with the flashcards, the way the flashcard would open would be a transition, right?
That's what I believe.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Okay, and then an animation would be like if it were to like move or shake or something, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I mean, that's kind of what I thought, but I guess to me, so what I was reading was like translating it was making it change its state. So my box bouncing was changing its state. Or if you were to have the box change a color or something, or disappear, like I have my logo disappearing when you scroll up or down or something, that's translating the state of the object. And then an animation would be like the checkbox where, oh, I don't know. Now I'm getting confused about what I'm talking about, so. I don't think I'm being very helpful at all.
It's making it a lot clearer for me.
I will continue looking into it so that I can hopefully have a better answer next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and do my presentation, I guess. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to go into the PowerPoint because I don't know how to view the notes and show the PowerPoint. So I did the software development process and methodologies, and what the software development process basically is taking the project and splitting it into distinct phases. Examples are the waterfall, prototyping. Those are just some examples of what it is. And I apologize because I started with Scrum, so I did my PowerPoint backwards because I was like, oh, I know this. I'll talk about this. And then I realized you need to know something else before you actually do that. So it's backwards. So what the waterfall is basically you do each step and you have to complete that step before you move on to the next step. Like, it's very important that you complete the previous step or else you'll run into issues with the next one. And it's kind of like a cascading or like a waterfall as far as the project goes. And one of the most important things with the waterfall is how you plan the project. You want to make sure that your scope is very detailed and what you're wanting your project to do is very detailed, because as you go through for things that are missing from your scope, you'll run into problems and have to end up backtracking, which is not really something you want to do, and then before you can actually move to the next step. So waterfall's it's not like the most basic one, but it's a very straightforward project. And basically what you do is you figure out all of your requirements, like you design your scope, and then you figure out what your project, like all of the coding, you figure out how you want it to look, all of that in that phase, and then you move on to the next one. The image I have actually has more steps, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So rapid application development is based off the waterfall project in a sense. Anyhow, this one is more emphasizing into the actual development of the project and having a prototype over planning the project. And what this allows is for you to adjust your project as you move forward, which is a lot better than the waterfall. So what this does is you have like your business modeling, data modeling process, etc. And what you'll do through each step is you set your overall scope, you plan for your current prototype, you design or determine what you're going to be doing for that, and you create your prototype, and then you test your prototype. And oh, I skipped a step. I'm so sorry, you guys. I skipped some stuff. For each of these projects, you have a product owner, and that person is in charge of the scope. And they can be the team leader, but they aren't necessarily the team leader. They are in charge of the actual app, like determining whether or not it fits what the consumer is going to be interested in. And so we'll get into that a little more with the Scrum roles. So Scrum, there's 3 distinct roles. There's the product owner, the team, and then the Scrum Master. So the product owner is the same for Waterfall and Rapid, or RAD. they're responsible for the product vision, any expectations or adjustments to that. They determine whether or not the app's going to work for it. And then they're not always a team member, but they can be a team member. And then with the team, the reason I was thinking Scrum would be like super beneficial for us all is because we're all going to need to know each portion of it. Like we all need to be like cross-functioning. The thing that's difficult or can be difficult with Scrum is it's very self-driving. Like you have to be very organized. You have to like have really good self-management. And then another thing with Scrum that seemed like it would be really difficult is the check-in system, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then for Scrum, the last one is the Scrum Master, and at first I was thinking it was like the team leader, but basically what the Scrum Master does is they are more of a environment control, so they make sure that we're staying on task and that we're like focused, but they're not really making any like defined decisions. That's more for either like a team lead position or for the product owner. So this is kind of what Scrum looks like, and this is why the waterfall is, I guess you guys can't see my hand. Sorry. This is why the waterfall is very important to understand, is because each sprint, so each week, we would basically do like a waterfall effect. And then at the end of the week, we would meet again to go over what we completed, what needs to be completed, how we want it modified. Something really important is we want to keep track of like our time. So we'll have to set like for most of them, you want to have like a time log or what you estimate something is going to take. That way you can determine when would be, whether or not you will be able to complete within the allocated time, or if I'm using the wrong word, I'm really sorry. Or if you'll have to like extend that time. Anyhow, so with the difficult thing about Scrum, and where it becomes very much like a self-orientated type deal, is there's a daily check-in where you spend like 15 minutes, preferably around the same time, where you just kind of log what you've done for the project. But yeah, and then these are where I got the information. There's not much there. But yeah. Yep, are there any questions?
No, I think you did a really good job.
I agree.
I hope that was helpful. I took a methodology class, and like Scrum was my favorite. So I apologize, there's a lot about Scrum. But
That's all right.
That's totally how it worked for my internship. So.
Oh yeah.
Good job.
I was reading through them because I've never heard of rapid application development. Like it wasn't something I'd ever looked at before. And I don't, like, it's something I guess we could talk about figuring how we would want to plan, I mean more for like week 8 or week 9, but how we'd want to plan our project just to make sure we get it finished in time.
I agree. I think if we plan it out that way, it'll be a lot easier to just stay organized and on top of things. So.
Cassandra, what I liked about your presentation was the visuals, the charts, and all of that, because it can get pretty complicated. I too like Scrum a lot. I like the flashcard app that we're proposing. We're already like honing in on the presentation on how we can help it become a thing. Like if we could make a little flashcard bounce or a little check mark or something. I think the design cues are there for Michelle to kind of say yes or no to.
I guess this is bringing up a question of mine. What is everyone's strong? What do you feel is your strong attribute that you bring to the team?
So I used to feel like JavaScript was my strong point, and then I met some other people in the class, or in other classes that I've had, and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. But, yeah.
I'm decent, I guess, or novice at HTML and CSS. I don't know if that'll help here, but I'm confident with those. I could help out.
I guess I feel like we're all going to need to obviously work on all of it so that we can all get credit, but I just think it would be helpful to know what everyone feels they're most accomplished at. Obviously, my strong suit is design, so, and I mean, I'm graduating this semester, but I really don't feel like I'm definitely not a master at any of this stuff, so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like since this class has a lot of new topics to me, like I've never heard of like Ajax or DOM or.
Yeah.
So those are all completely foreign. I mean, I've never even seen them before.
I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like, I know very basic web development to the point where I could probably make this application in not too much time if I was just doing basic like MySQL and HTML and CSS and maybe some PHP in there. But since we're not doing those things, we're focusing on other languages. I think I'm going to be a little behind compared to what some of the other students have to offer.
Sorry, what I was going to say was I have some example code from a project that I was helping with for the Ajax and the storage. It's working code, but it was still in the development stage when I was helping with it. Or at least the copy of the code I have was still in the development stage, so it has like the basics for Ajax and for local storage.
That will be super useful.
Yeah, we could take a look at it and then figure out if there's code that we could like reuse or modify.
What was the project?
It was for this class actually. This is a retake for me.
Okay.
Do you know like was it like a flashcard app?
No, it was based off of a table as far as the storage was concerned. But we organized it was called Eagle Tracker, but we set it up so that you could put in your location using GPS and then put in like what animal you saw at that location, and then it would list it out on a table for you. Or it was supposed to do like show a map and pinpoint it on the map, but we just did a table in the end.
Okay. Do you mind me asking why you're retaking?
Yeah, I actually, the only reason I stuck with the class was to help out with the group. I actually didn't do anything for the class. I hope that makes sense. So I'm retaking because I unofficially dropped out of the class, but I stayed with the group to, like I stayed in contact with them to like try to help out because I felt really bad for kind of ditching everybody. It left like 3 people. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Is this like a super hard class, would you say?
It's actually, I don't know if I missed a lot the first time or if there's more information provided this time. But It's easy if you do the work.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
I guess you could say that for all the classes. It's easy if you do the work. But in this one, as long as you stay on top of it, then it's pretty easy.
That's good. Okay. So I think, Cassandra, I think seeing that code would probably be useful next week. I mean, it's already 11, so maybe we need to wrap up our meeting. I don't know about the rest of you. But, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think that would be helpful too. And I agree. We can wrap up here. Should we plan on the same time next week, 10 o'clock next Thursday?
Works for me.
Yeah. Great.
All right. I will upload the couple notes I've taken on minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll get my sandbox code in GitHub somewhere.
Yeah. I've put my sandbox code in Git. Has everyone been able to access our Git?
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast.